Hello and welcome again. So today we are going to continue our discussion on MVC architecture, where we already discussed that MVC architecture has three components: model, view and controller. Model manages data and business logic, handles validation, calculation and communication, and then we have a view which display UI elements defined in XML layout files, and then we have a controller which acts as a middleman or a bridge between model and a view. It handles user inputs and orchestrate communication between view and model. So with that, we are going to today create another app that follows MVC architecture, and we are going to first create an app that is simple, that does not follows MVC architecture, and then we will create the same app using MVC architecture. So let me go to Android Studio, and this app is called BMI calculator. So Android Studio will create a project for us. As usual, we are going to first create the UI element, and then we are going to create the model and then the controller part. So let us wait for Android Studio to create this app for us, or this project for us, and straight away we are going to then first create the interface and then the model, the interface, and then okay. So let us wait for some more time. You can see Android Studio is creating the project for us. Alright, so I hope that it has finished. Okay, so let me go to app, res, and for BMI calculator I'm going to straight away first create the interface. So I'm going to select the constraint layout and convert it into linear layout, and then we have orientation, which in this case is vertical, and I'm going to add one more property, and this is called padding, which in our case is 20 dp. Okay, so with that, let me delete this default text view and let us add our own text view. So text view width will be wrap content, height will be wrap content. Alright, so now the text in our case will be BMI calculator. Text size, this is another property, it will be 24 sp, and text style will be bold, and layout gravity I'll make it to center. Okay, so that is a text view. Let us see the text view on this interface. So far so good. Okay, let us add other views, and then we have edit text having width of match parent and height of wrap content. I'm going to add the ID, which in this case is edit text, it will be for weight. Okay, and then the hint will be enter weight enter weight in kg. Input type, it will be number decimal, and layout margin top 20 dp, and let me close it. So you can see enter weight in kg. And now let me add the other edit text. Edit text having width of match parent and height of wrap content. Okay, so then the ID, which in this case will be @ edit text height, and then the hint enter height, and it will be in meters. So we are done with the height, and then input type will be again number decimal, layout margin top will be 10 dp. Okay, so we added other edit text, so you can see the two edit text over here. And then let us add the button having width of match parent and height of wrap content. So this is the button. The ID will be button calculate, and the text will be calculate BMI, and layout underscore margin top will be 20 dp. So you can see that button appears on this interface. And let us now add the last. Let us add the last view. So it's a text view having width of wrap content and height of wrap content, and let us give it an ID. So in this case the ID will be text view result, the text in this case will be your BMI appear here. Text size will be 80 SP, and layout margin top is 20 dp. So that's complete our interface. And now let us I'm not going to follow the MVC architecture, but without MVC architecture, let's see how this app will look like. So let me go to the main activity, and in the main activity, inside on create method, I'm going to add some variables. The first one is weight. So So weight will be find view by ID, edit text. So what was the weight? R dot ID dot edit text weight. So let us import this edit text class. Well imported. And the height edit text, the height in this case will be r dot id dot edit text height. So we added the weight and height, and then what was the next? What was the next view? So it was button, find view by ID, button, r dot id dot button calculate. So let me import the button class. Find view by ID, text view, r dot id dot text view result. So we are also going to import this text view. So we have these reference variable now. These four are called reference variable because they store the address of the views. These views were defined in XML and then they were converted into Kotlin and stored in R file. That is why we say r.id.edit text weight, r.id.edit text height. So that is the reason we call it r.id.button calculate. So everything that is defined in XML is ultimately converted into Kotlin. Now that we have those reference, we can use them. So I'm going to say button dot set on click listener. So we are going to first get the weight and height. So the weight is weight dot text dot to string. So we get the weight and convert it into string, and then the height. So height dot text dot to string. So we get the weight and the height, and the next thing will be to check if the weight and height are valid or not. So we are going to say if w dot is not empty, weight is not empty, and height is not empty. So if this is the case, then we are going to further convert the weight into float. So weight dot to float. We are going to convert the weight into float, and height to height dot to float. So we converted weight and height to the float, and then let us calculate the BMI. So we will say BMI is, so what's the formula for BMI? It is weight value divided by height value multiply by height value. So that is the formula for weight, calculating body mass index. And now we are going to see the category, add the category. So category when BMI is less than 18.5, then we are going to say under weight. When BMI is less than 18.5, so we will say underweight. BMI less than 24.9, so we are going to say it is normal. BMI less than 29.9, so it will be overweight. Else it will be obese. So we calculated, we defined the category based on the value of BMI. So now we are going to say result.text. So on the result text view we will display BMI colon up to 2 floating point number \n category S dot form. So we are going to form it based on BMI and category. Okay. So remember, we are inside if statement. So here I'm going to add the else part, else, and we are going to display a toast message, toast.make text this. Please enter values. Toast dot length long, and I'm going to say dot show. Okay, so that's it. So let me run this app. So what we did, we defined some variables and we added set on click listener on the button, and then we check if the weight and height is not empty. So we calculated their BMI, and then we define a category: underweight, normal, overweight or obese, which will be calculated based on the BMI, and then we put the result, show the BMI and the result on the result text. So Gradle build is running, launching on device. So I hope that okay, let me add the weight. So the weight is, let's say, 83, and the height is 1.72. So calculate BMI. So you can say this BMI falls under in the 28.06 category, which is overweight. So if I change it to 75 and calculate BMI, still it is overweight. Let me add 70, and now it is normal. So you can see we calculated the BMI based on the weight and height values. I'm going to do something because here we do not have padding. So I'm going to add padding. Android. Yes, we have padding. So I'm going to make it 40. Rerun this app. Gradle build running. Remember, Gradle is a build tool that compiles your file and converts them into .apk file. Install successfully finished in 6 seconds. So now it looks much more better. Okay, so this one was like we calculate the BMI based on the value. So let us now create the same app using the MVC architecture. So let me go and create a new project. So BMI calculator MVC. I think there was some problem in creating this project, so I'm going to create it once again. So BMI calculator MVC. Now it is okay. So once again we are going to first create the interface, and then we are going to create the model class. Okay, so straight away, and I will not take much time because we have already created the interface. So let me add linear layout and orientation will be vertical. Let me add some padding. Okay, so I'm going to remove this text view and add our own text view. First the width, which will be wrap content, and the height, it will also be wrap content, and then the text, the text is BMI calculator, and it will follow MVC architecture. Text size will be 22 sp, and text style it is going to be bold, layout, gravity, center. Okay, so we added a text view. Then, similar to the previous app, let us add very quickly. I'm going to add edit text having width of match parent, height of wrap content, ID, edit text, height, hint, it will be height in meters, input type, so input type will be number decimal, and layout, margin top 10 dp. Okay, so we added one edit text for the height, and I'm going to add other edit text for the weight. So match parent, wrap content, ID, edit text, weight, hint, weight in kg, input type number decimal, layout margin top 20 dp, so that it will be weight. And now let us add the button, which in this case the width will be match parent, height will be wrap content, ID will be button calculate, text will be calculate, and margin top is 20 dp. And then we have a text view having width of wrap content, height of wrap content, ID will be text view result, the text will be result will appear here, text size is 18 sp, layout margin top 20 dp. So that is our interface. So this is view. So let me go and now create the model. So the name will be BMI model class, and then we have a function calculate BMI. So how we are going to calculate it? We need weight, which will be float, height, it will be also a float, and then it is going to return something. we are going to say return weight divided by height into height. So that is, so business logic is defined in BMI model class. So next we are going to add a function get category BMI float and we are going to say return when, so inside parentheses the same formula, when it is 18.5, so it is going to return underweight BMI less than 24.9, so it is going to return normal BMI 29.9, so it is going to return overweight. Else it is going to return obese. So that is the model class, and now let us go to the controller part, and inside controller part up here I am going to first get private late initialize variable model. I am going to get the model which is BMI model. So inside on create method I am going to say model will be of type BMI model, and again I am going to get the instances. So we already have code for instance, so the weight, the height. So I'm going to copy it from here and paste it. So these are our instance: weight, height, button and result. And now that we have instances, we are going to say button dot set on click listener weight dot text dot toString, and height will be height dot text dot toString. So again, if w dot is not empty and height is not empty, so we are going to say weight value w dot to float, convert the weight to float, and then similarly height value will be h dot to float. So we converted the weight and the height, and then we are going to say BMI dot model calculate BMI and we are going to pass the weight value and the height value. And then for category, we are going to say model dot get category and passing the BMI value. And then in the last we are going to say result dot text BMI percentage sign 2 dot f backslash n category format BMI and category. So that was the if part, and again we are going to say else toast dot make text this dot enter all values toast dot length long. Alright, so we created the same BMI, but this time using MVC architecture. So I'm going to run this as well. Okay, wait for some time. So the interface will be similar, but the underlying architecture is different. So we followed MVC architecture where we define the model class and then the controller. So enter weight. So this time again I'm going to add 70 and height will be 1.72 meter. Calculate. So I think some logical error occurred, and we are going to see what actually happens. So result dot text BMI okay, so let me see the log cat. Failed to measure F varsity error 1 data. Okay, I'm going to run it once again. And I hope that me add a weight 70, height 1.72. Okay, there is some logical error. And let us once again cross check it. Okay, let me see the formula. Formula looks fine. There is some logical error. Okay, I'm going to add these two project on GitHub, and you can see and check that error. So add. Okay, so it is added on the GitHub, and let me also share it with you. So it will be BMI without MVC. BMI without MVC. Okay, and also BMI with MVC. So let me also add this to the GitHub. So add. I hope it won't take much time. So I'm going to copy it and paste it here. Okay, so both of the projects are added, so you can just go and run this project and see if everything is fine. And now I'm going to stop here, and I'll see you in the next class.